Sorry, from 17 once again. This is Star Wars Battlefront 2, Galactic Assault. We're playing Crate, and I'm sprinting forward at the beginning on the First Order side as the officer, and I think I'm going to show you my favourite opening strategy on attack on this map. I like to be very aggressive, I like to rush their spawn, and I like to pretty much get behind everybody. I don't know how successful I will be, but the most important part of this video is that this is post-patch 1.2. So on this particular piece of Star Wars goodness, you are going to see what Palpatine is like after the nerf. You know, the big nerf everyone was excited about? You're going to see it. Watch this, by the way. This guy melts me, I think. Look at that. What gun did he have, right? TL-15 never does what it did for that guy for me when I use that gun. It's one of my criticisms of the Heavy. The Heavy's guns are too inconsistent. If they were a little bit more consistent, they'd be so much more fun to use, but as it stands, I can't stand playing that class anymore. It's really miserable for me. But continue pushing forward. Let's talk about the patch a little bit. So, things to note that you're going to see here. You're going to see a cooling mod broken on the weapon that I'm using. So the SE44C, which is the gun I'm using. It's one of the strongest guns in the game. It's my favourite gun in the game. It cools, it doesn't fire forever like a light machine gun anymore. It fires at a much more realistic measure. It fires at a measure that I would say is about balanced. I think this is probably what the gun should be like all the time. But before, you could fire 5 times longer than this, and it's ridiculous, and you can kill 5 men in one spray. It's insane. There's the disruption. There's a couple of heavies with no idea what's going on right there. He probably didn't have a grenade, that's why he didn't throw it at my feet, but this is me being a nuisance. This is what I'm going to be doing for the full match, pretty much. So, you're going to see the officer nerf a little bit, even though it's not much of a nerf because the gun is still fantastic. You're going to potentially see a very, very, very damaging bug, which is explosive shot, when applied to weapons now, doesn't apply the correct cooldown, which enables people to shoot explosive shot way longer than it was ever designed to be done, which turns it into just a destroying weapon, an absolutely monstrous experience. It kills heroes that cannot block it, it kills vehicles. It doesn't kill starfighters as well as I would like, because that's the only reason I'd probably use it, but it's kind of obnoxious, and you're going to see way more of it. And I'm not going to be putting up a video because I don't want to advertise it, because it's that bad, really. I thought I'd enjoy it, I unlocked it, I tried it, I played it for 2 games and I turned it off. It's not my idea of fun. Is it strong? Fuck yes. I got like 50 kills as a heavy, that never happens. And I melted heroes and vehicles and whatever, but it's ugly. It's a very ugly part of the game, and I can't wait for DICE to fix it. But I'm worried. And I'm worried because this is the first time I've ever followed a DICE game this closely. Because I'm playing this game, you know, quite a lot. I like it a lot. It's a really fun game. As I take on people at pretty long range. Crouch behind the boxes like a bitch. Throw out my flashbang to try and put some pressure on him. And then run away. It's called strategy, guys. I'm not a pussy. So I've never come across DICE's particular way of handling video games post-launch. I've always heard that they're really good at breaking things, and I've always heard that they're not very good at nerfing things, so they'll either make something incredibly strong and then never fix it, or they'll nerf something so much that it's completely worthless. They don't have the subtlety down yet. And I can pretty much say I've come across all of those things with this game, and it's pretty sad. It's really sad, actually, because there's things that I think should be tweaked, and there's things that are getting tweaked, and it's almost never the stuff that I agree with. And to be fair, I don't think all of my criticisms should be viable and should be changed, because a lot of them have got some personal bias in there. They're my criticisms, right? But I think a lot of them would help the game. And it's just not the stuff we're getting. It's kind of bizarre. The big one is the Palp nerf. I think the Palp nerf is hilarious. It doesn't make sense to me, right? So, if you've never played this game before, Palpatine is one of the strongest heroes in the game. He was the strongest hero in the game because he could attack you through walls. He could attack through spawn doors, he could attack through geometry. He was generally a nuisance, and he takes very little skill because his gun aims for him because it's lightning, and he jumps around, he's really fast, and he regenerates a lot. Everything about this character is really, really strong. So their idea of fixing him is to make it so that he can't shoot through geometry anymore. But that wasn't the big problem, in my opinion. Like, the big problem was his kit. it compounds all of his abilities. The fact he could kill you through geometry was just fucking gravy, because he could kill you ridiculously anyway. What was that guy doing? That's the type of person that I really question. Maybe he was like getting a glass of water or something, or, you know, taking a drag on a bong or something. I don't even know. But come on now, dude. He didn't even shoot. I don't want him on my team. I'm glad he's on the enemy team, you know, feeding kills. But the fact he could shoot you through walls was just the tip of the spear. There was still a huge spear of real, like, actual lethality in there, because he's a really good character. Watch this. Yeah, look at that. That is something else, right? And speaking of the devil, and may he appear, this is him now. So this is post-patch Palpatine, which I have it on good authority from the whiny scrubs of Reddit. He's absolutely rubbish now. I actually saw somebody put that. Some people are saying that Bosk is better than Palpatine after this patch. People used those words. Bosk, a character who's very strong and takes this word that I don't think they know about yet, which is called skill. And Palpatine, who takes no skill, you don't have to aim, and is godly, is not as good as Bosk anymore. I can't even imagine where these people get these opinions from, but I'm glad they exist so I can laugh at them at night. Palpatine is just as strong as he always was. If anything, he's probably stronger. They fixed the bug of him shooting through the walls. Do you know what they did because they fixed that? They gave him extra range on his lightning. Can you imagine a world where anybody in a position of power as a developer wants Palpatine to have more range? Can you think of that? Have you played this game? Like, I don't know who these people are making these decisions, but they're not the people that I'm fighting in Galactic Assault. Because I can't imagine a planet where anybody wants Palpatine to have anything better. He's already too fucking good. Like, so they took away his ability to blatantly cheat and shoot through geometry, but because that was such a bad thing for his meta, they gave him extended range. And I'm not even using the best cards. The best cards give him even more range. Like, why would they do this? Do you see what's happening right now? All I'm doing is holding two triggers. I don't even have to aim. It's stupid. It's complete stupidity. He needed his regeneration touching, which they already buffed, which they should never have done. He needed a lot of tweaking. Like, I can't imagine a world where... Like, right now, look at this. His lightning does no damage from up close. If you want to kill Palpatine, hug him. It's the best thing to do. Kill him with kindness. It really does work. But this guy needed tweaking in so many ways. They could have maybe put a cooldown on his dodges so that you can't just spam the corkscrew, even though it looks amazing, but it makes him really hard to hit and nobody shoots him for some reason. They could have given him extended cooldowns. They could have made it so that there was... The lightning wasn't all-encompassingly bullshit stupidity that you can't really get away from unless you spam two rolls and then pray he fucks off. Like... I can't even get behind it. So Palpatine gets a nerf and gets fixed, and they barely touch Rey's insight, which is the most broken part of this game. I can't even get behind it, guys. I can't understand it. It makes no sense to me. And if you've never played this game before and you don't know what Rey's ability is, imagine an ability that she activates that not only takes her off the map, which is incredibly powerful in a game where heroes can fuck you up if they surprise you, but it gives her entire team wall hacks. Every single player knows you're coming. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine having that target on your back? Well, that's the game you're in. And it's so strange. Like, when you look at the weapon buffs and the weapon nerfs on the patch list, what they've decided to do is pretty interesting. Like, the Blurg got a nerf again, and I agree with that, because the Blurg is still really, really strong. And I think after the most recent hit to it, I think it's still really strong. So it goes to show that they're at least trying to keep it really viable while making it less feel like a bullshit gun. It's very, very interesting, and you're going to see probably a lot more of it because of the cooldown bug at the moment. So if you're a player who likes to use, you know, the cooldown mod on your weapons, you don't have that anymore. The cooldown mod is something that just simply doesn't help anymore because it doesn't work. And there are a couple of weapons that really suffer from this. But in the grand scheme of things, the weapons are still good and they're still functionable and they're still viable, you know? Like, one of the things I can't imagine why they didn't tweak was, you know when you put a shield down and there's a Palpatine? You help him. And I don't think people seem to understand this, because the amount of people that put shields down, I should be sending them thankful letters. Because Palpatine can shoot through shields, and you can't. Do you understand how this works? You put a shield down thinking you can get away from him, he can kill you through it, and you can't even attack him. You can't even damage him as you die. Makes no sense, right? And they didn't touch it, they didn't change it at all. Princess Leia's alternative fire didn't get tweaked at all. Have you used Princess Leia on Crate? I have. It ended badly for the enemy team, you know? We lost, I think, which was a good thing, because it's bullshit. It's like... Look at this guy, like that guy. That guy's my favourite guy of this match. He's trying to kill me. He's doing what his entire team should be doing. The only reason they shouldn't be doing that at this moment is because, for whatever reason, DICE decided to give ATSTs to this phase and enable them to come into the hangar, which completely ruins the infantry balance in here and makes this fight from being one of the most fun, contested, incredibly insane, classic Battlefield moment. There's a heavy there, did you see him? I didn't see him, apparently. But instead of it being an awesome contest point, arguably one of the most fun in the game because it's a massive cavernous hangar with tons of dynamic to it. That's a Leia, by the way, did you see it? She's shooting at me. I should go over there and get rid of her, but I don't know if I've noticed. So instead of that awesome firefight, we have something that is 100% ruled by ATSTs. That's a rocket trooper doing his job, did you see that? Look what happens when someone shoots Palpatine. This is all you've got to do, folks. Like, my philosophy on Palpatine has always been the same. If you see him, you're going to die. It's that simple. So you might as well take him with you and do as much as you can to him. And there are a lot of really good counters to Palpatine. The two counters that you might not know are the secondary features of the flash grenade. Do you know if you throw a flash grenade towards him and it doesn't blind him, if it concusses him, he can't jump. And when Palpatine can't jump, people can't not miss. It's one of those things. The reason I'm jumping so much with this character, if you're unfamiliar, is because nobody can shoot him when you jump. It's really tough to track an opponent when they're jumping. And that's what makes him strong. You don't have to aim, he kills you really quickly, and all you do is jump around like a lunatic with no skill. That's all it takes to be a Palpatine, pretty much. However, if you concuss him, he can't jump. And you can concuss him with flash grenades. Leia can do it as well. That Princess Leia that's hogging in the background and shooting our reserves should be pushing me, but the problem is, of course, the ATSTs. But if I overextend, she flashes me, her entire team can then focus fire me, and all I can do is dash. And dashing is good, but it's predictable, so you can predict the end of its arc and then punish it. The second thing that's really good for this, that you might not know, is the acid launcher. The acid launcher fires a corrosive round that is like an area of denial ability. And it doesn't do too much damage, but it's a constant tick rate of damage, and it's kind of annoying. But you can't jump when it's happening, because your person's too busy waving his hand in front of his face, and apparently it disables his entire ability to jump with moon physics. I don't know why, but that's just the game. So that's two ways to disable his jump and maybe take him on. And then on top of that, you have the hero counters, the hard counters. Finn's aimbot, Deadeye. Very good at killing Palpatine. If you have an open space and he can't get behind cover, you'll kill him with Finn. You'll kill him really easily. I do it all the time. If you're Chewbacca, Chewbacca has the best hard counter to Palpatine. And I'm going to tell you what it is so that you can now go forth and kill more Palpatines. You might already know, and that's awesome. You might be thinking, it's that overpowered grenade from HVV. And it is, but it's in a specific sequence. If you throw the grenade at him, you'll probably miss. If you come up against a good Palpatine, he'll already be jumping. You should never throw the grenade first. I hope that kind of blew your mind. If it didn't, you're obviously a good Chewbacca. What you should always do when a Palpatine comes close to you, regardless of his height, is you should use Chewbacca's Slam. Chewbacca's Slam has the most bullshit detection in this game. Palpatine can be completely at the peak, at the zenith of his jump above you, and Chewie's Slam will knock him out the air. Then you find where he lands by using your radar and your eyes, and then you grenade him. So you stun him as he's getting up, and then you fuck him up with the gun. That way, your grenade will never miss, and you will always stun him, and if you have any teammates there, you have yourself a dead Palpatine. It's the best way to counter him. 100% best way to counter him. On top of that, Phasma can counter him. But of course you can't pick Phasma, which is really frustrating. Which would be nice. So, your final one is Lando. Lando has a disabler, which not a lot of people seem to use when they play as him, because I kill a lot of Landos and it's almost like they don't quite understand how to use him yet, which is unfortunate for them. The disabler is something you throw on the ground, and then you press a button, and it does an electrical burst, and it stuns people. It will stun Palpatine, and then from there you can shoot him in the head and he'll die. That is pretty much all the best counters to this character that don't involve just doing a lot of damage. I'm not even going to mention if you can flank him with a Vanguard. I'm not even going to mention if you can get, some kind of sentry on him. You will melt him. And I'm not even going to talk about Wookiees, which are an incredibly strong counter to Palpatine in a lot of ways. Because if you come up against 2 Wookiees, you can't damage race them enough. And they do a lot of damage, their grenade is fantastic, and their Overlord is really strong too. All of these things will stop what's happening right now. Pretty much. But you just have to be, persistent enough, and you have to focus, and unfortunately focusing on a team of randoms can be difficult to do as we push into this area. I always find this part of Crate to be kind of interesting when you play as Palpatine, because once you get to the door, there's not really much you can do. I've discovered a pretty interesting strategy of getting inside, but once you're inside, you're in their spawn point, and none of your team is going to have the balls to follow you, so it doesn't really help, which is kind of interesting to me. I also feel like Crate seems to go over really quickly now, because I think that you can destroy the stuff quicker than you used to be able to. I don't know if that's a confirmed change, but this patch has got a lot of tweaks in it that aren't confirmed, but you can feel the difference. So let's talk about the rolling, shall we? The rolling's an interesting one as well. So, for those who were not in the Battlefront loop, rolling was incredibly powerful. It gives you less sensitivity to damage, according to the tooltip, which means you take less damage when you're rolling when you get attacked in it. And it gave you both iframes and almost nigh-on non-detection against lightsaber users. So you get 2... Oh, did you see Rey jumping up? Rey's coming for me. Is this the one where I get fucked by the Rey? I can't remember. I hope not. Because if it is, this will be interesting. I don't think it is. But once again, they have a Rey, which means our entire team is painted all this time through walls so that they can just see us for free, which is really frustrating to come across. And I can't really say too much in this game because I'm playing as Palpatine. Palpatine is the biggest bitch in the game. I use him because he's fucking awesome, and it's, really, really stupid and fun. Most of the time I use him because I know I have to carry the team, and half the time it's generally when Bosk isn't available, but for this video is quite unique. I used him 100% to check what he was like after the patch. This is the very first game I got with him after the patch. But Palp is one of those... Palp, I think, is a necessary evil. He's the dude you go to when you know you have to get shit done. And it doesn't always feel good, because he's cheesy, but it works. And a lot of the times when you have 19 people who don't have thumbs, you need to use what works, right? That doesn't mean you use the most recent shit that's come out, because that stuff is just something else. I picked Lando Calrissian on Naboo. I was really looking forward to running around and doing some swift shot trickery and just being a nuisance. I bumped into 1 heavy and he killed me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine dying to 1 heavy as Lando? Doesn't happen, right? It does now. And that's because of inadvertent changes. So it leaves the question, guys. Have you ever experienced a developer or a patch that has broken more things than it fixed? Because that's kind of what it feels like right now. Pretty strange, right? But that was Palpatine post-patch. As you can see, he's completely rubbish now. You can't get any kills with him. He can't lead teams. He's not a dominant figure on the battlefield. He's practically worthless. Thank you for watching. You take care now.